What if one of the most famous places in history never existed? Or worse, what if it did and we just can't find it? For over 2,000 years, people have searched for a lost city described with impossible wealth, towering walls, and technology that sounded like fantasy to the ancient world. A city that supposedly vanished in a single day. This is the mystery of Atlantis, the lost city no one can find. Atlantis isn't just a legend from the internet age. It enters history through one of the most famous writers of the ancient world, Plato. And that's what makes this case so dangerous and so fascinating. Because Plato doesn't present Atlantis like a fairy tale. He names names. He gives geography. He gives architecture. He gives a timeline. Enough detail that, if it was real, you'd think we could pinpoint it. So why can't we? Atlantis appears in two of Plato's dialogues, Timaeus and Critias. In them, Plato tells a story passed down to the Athenian lawmaker Solon, who supposedly heard it from Egyptian priests. The priests describe a powerful island civilization, Atlantis, located beyond the Pillars of Heracles, a phrase commonly associated with the Strait of Gibraltar. Then, after a war with ancient Athens, Atlantis is destroyed by catastrophic earthquakes and floods and sinks into the sea in a single day and night. Plato's words are the spark that lit a fire that never went out. Right away, we get the first problem. Atlantis is presented as history inside a philosophical work. So the question becomes, was Plato documenting a real event or building a story to make a point? Plato describes Atlantis' capital with a very specific layout. Rings of land and water circling a central island, connected by channels, like a bullseye made into a city. He describes temples, walls plated with metals, and society overflowing with resources so powerful that it expands across regions until arrogance and moral decay set in. And that theme, prosperity turning into corruption, matters because it hints that Atlantis might be doing the job of a warning story. A civilization that collapses not just from nature, but from who it becomes. There are three big reasons Atlantis stays unfindable. Reason 1. Plato's geography is vague in modern terms. Beyond the Pillars of Heracles could imply the Atlantic, but people have argued over what exactly that phrase meant to different ancient audiences. Reason 2. The timeline Plato gives, thousands of years before his own era, doesn't line up cleanly with what we know about ancient Athens and many archaeological timelines. That doesn't prove it's false, but it raises eyebrows among historians. Reason 3. Oceans erase evidence. Coastlines move. Earthquakes drop land. Sediment buries structures. And if a city did sink, it may not look like a neat ruin. It may look like scattered stone under meters of sand. So searchers turn to theories. One of the most popular real-world candidates ties Atlantis to Minoan civilization and the massive volcanic eruption of Thera, modern-day Santorini. The Minoans were a powerful Bronze Age society centered on Crete, known for complex architecture, trade networks, and art that looks shockingly modern. Archaeologists have studied evidence that the Thera eruption was enormous and that it likely caused regional destruction, tsunamis, ashfall, economic collapse, effects that could echo for generations. Here's why people love this theory. A rich island culture, a catastrophic natural disaster, a memory that could morph into legend. But there's a catch. Plato places Atlantis beyond Gibraltar, far from the Aegean, and his description of a concentric ring capital doesn't neatly match what we know of Minoan cities. So the Santorini theory might explain the vibe of the story, without confirming the place. Another major hunt zone is southern Spain, near the Doñana wetlands, an area some researchers have speculated could hide traces of an ancient settlement destroyed by flooding and buried under sediment. This idea usually argues, if Atlantis was near the Atlantic side of the Mediterranean world, Spain is at least in the right neighborhood. But the problem is evidence. Wetlands are difficult archaeological environments, and big claims require big, verifiable finds, structures, inscriptions, dates, material, culture, connected in a way that doesn't rely on it, looks like a circle from above. So far, no universally accepted archaeological proof has emerged that settles it. Here's the weird part. Atlantis is claimed everywhere. The Azores, the Bahamas, the Sahara, even Antarctica. And that tells us something important. Atlantis isn't just a location people are trying to find. It's a blank space people keep trying to fill. Because the story is so flexible, it can be reshaped around whatever mystery someone already believes in. Lost advanced technology, ancient global empires, forbidden history. But the oldest version we have, the one that started all of this, is still Plato, which brings us to the hardest question. Plato wrote dialogues, philosophical conversations, and within them, Atlantis functions almost perfectly as a moral and political example. A powerful society becomes greedy, loses virtue, and is destroyed. That doesn't prove Atlantis is fiction. Ancient writers sometimes mix history and storytelling, but it does explain why the story is shaped so cleanly, so symbolically. And it explains why the trail goes cold the moment you try to verify it like a modern crime scene. No inscription saying, "Welcome to Atlantis." No coins with Atlantean kings. No ruins that undeniably match the blueprint. Just a story that feels real enough to chase. Maybe Atlantis is out there, broken, buried, and waiting in silence beneath the sea. Or maybe it's something else. A memory of real disasters, stitched together into a warning. A myth built on truth, then amplified by time. Either way, the mystery survives because it hits something human. The fear that a civilization can vanish, and the hope that if we find its ruins, we might find a message meant for us. If Atlantis was real, would we recognize it? And if we did, would we admit what it says about us? If you want more historical mysteries like this, lost expeditions, vanished kingdoms, and ancient crimes, subscribe. Next time, we're diving into another legend that might be history.